Hey everyone.
Oh,
Hello. Just a moment. Okay, so today we're going to be working on comp sets. So, like how to build out a comp set and the three different ways you can do that. And so, I'm hoping for a volunteer. Like, are one of you guys willing to let me like log into your price labs and kind of work on building out a comp set?
sure, Becky, you can log into mine.
Yeah. Okay.
You know how, right?
Yep. Considering I just did yours, I'll
I
have.
don't know how, but you must know how.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get logged in.
Well, I guess I know how to log in. I just hit my computer and it does it itself, but I've been asked what the password is and the username, but I don't know what that is. So
The email?
is it the email? Is the
Yep.
username?
Yep.
And my passwords are all the same, right? I think so.
Yeah, I believe so. And what? Let me see. Yep, it's the US properties in the same email.
Okay.
Okay. Let me screen share. Move that. Yeah, this. Oh, I don't like that view. Okay, so this is Steve's price labs. And then do you want to work on your older property or your current one?
We can work on the older one. The new one
Okay,
doesn't have no activity, of course, so
right.
I did change some pricing that you did have it in it, but no, there is activity actually. Somebody did book for next weekend, so.
Nice. Okay, and is this awesome? Is this for the new property? Is this the new property address?
No, that's the old one. That's the one you should be on, I think. So,
Perfect. So that's what exactly what I wanted. Okay. So first thing I like to do is we have to figure out what kind of comps we're going to use, right? And in order to, okay, let me back up from the beginning. The reason we want to build out comp sets is so that we're comparing to properties. We're trying to set the benchmark of who we're comparing to. Because if we're comparing to people in the bottom 20th percentile, 50th percentile, then that's the standard we're going to have and that's the money we're going to make. We are always trying to be in the top properties. So we need to make sure we're looking at the most important thing is looking at revenue, right? Because even like ADR could be really high and occupancy low and overall revenue low. Or we can look at high occupancy, low ADR, which still could come out to be low revenue. So the only thing that really matters is revenue. So the two ways to see revenues for other Airbnbs, which is amazing because this is like the only, industry where you can see how much money your competitors are making, is going to be through Price Labs or AirDNA. So I'm going to show you how to do both. Most people have Price Labs. It's only $10 a month to set up a market dashboard, and that's where you're going to build out your comp sets. So it's going to be over if you're in your main page, over market research, and then market dashboards. I was planning on setting this one up, but he's already got it. So if you don't have one, you're just going to go to add uh, new market dashboard. You're going to put in the address. I'm not going to go all the way through this, just kind of showing. So new market dashboard, you're going to come down here to customize market dashboard. We only need to go under the 1,000 properties, but we're going to create our own. In this property right here, it's not quite in downtown. We also like they have it comparing to like all these. We want to narrow that in a bit. So you have two different options. And I'm going to go through all this pretty fast because it can take time. There's a lot. So you can either do the circle or you can do the little whatever this tool is. It depends on the market you're in. Sometimes I use this one. For the most part, I try to use the circle. Don't touch it right on the pinpoint or it'll move it. But we go right next to it and then drag it out. For this property, see, even this, I kind of want to use the other one because if we go, I want to get the properties that are above this circle more, like all the way out here, but then we're pulling properties from downtown and I don't want to do that. So I'm actually going to, let's delete that. We're going to draw our own. Downtown is typically the most clustered area of streets and everything. So we're going to go over here, here. I don't want to get near the water. Okay, this is giving me a pretty good idea of like, I'm much closer to downtown than these properties are, but there might be some good properties with more amenities, I don't know, more luxury, whatever it is. And then we have the advantage of being closer, so it gives me a pretty good average of all of them. There's only 872. Sometimes when you look at yours, there might be only 100, but it's just based on the market. It's not a big deal as long as you have a like try to push your proximity, but don't start pulling in properties that are on a lakeside or super downtown walking distance. That's just going to skew your data. So this one has 872. Then you would continue, you would name it, whatever. I just put the address, currency, and then create. It's $10 a month. I'm going to exit out. But once you do that, you set it up once, it works for 30 days. You can turn off the subscription and it's going to work for the next 30 days now. Okay. So then now we have this, it's still on. Now we can go to mark our show dashboard. When you first set it up, it'll probably take 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how many properties there are for them to collect all the information. I just go to show full dashboard. If you go to any of their other options that they provide, they just make this dashboard smaller, more consolidated, and I don't want you missing information. So I just go to full dashboard. So a lot of the time when we come in here, I show you guys length of stay. Right now, we're going to stick to listing comps right on the top. So something I want to know now, like I mentioned, you can find comps in AirDNA or in PriceLab's market dashboard. The biggest difference you're going to notice in revenue is like about a $15,000 to $20,000 difference. And that's because of the way they calculate it. PriceLabs is not inclusive of cleaning fees. AirDNA is. So it ends up being $15,000 to $20,000 difference. And we can go compare some of them in AirDNA and see kind of what those differences are.
So this includes cleaning cost.
This does not.
Well, this does not include cleaning cost. Okay.
Correct. This does not include cleaning cost. Okay, so first thing, now that we're on this, create new comp set, listing and comp sets. I'm not going to name it yet because I don't know how many. I do it based on how many comps I find. So first thing I'm going to do is go over to filters. This is a 5-bedroom home. I'm going to start off with the exact number of bedrooms I have. This shows 84 listings. If it ends up being too minimal, I'll select 1-bedroom size down because there's a possibility that a 4-bedroom might be making close to the same amount of money. Most of the time they're not, but sometimes they are. Bathrooms doesn't matter to me. Home type, we're only looking at homes. Stars, I don't want to look at super low rated homes. There's no point. I'm trying to compete with the best. And I know none of the top properties are getting like a 4.3 star. So 4.8 is the minimum for Superhost. Majority of the time, top properties are going to have that. I'm going to leave a little bit of flexibility. I personally do 4.7. For reviews, I want 20 or more reviews, same as I do on Airbnb. Doesn't super matter on the exact number. It's probably just there. That's easier. Price doesn't matter. Minimum stay doesn't matter. Active nights, I want 180 active nights a year. That means they've been live for at least, if they're active for at least 180 nights a year, then their revenue estimated is more accurate, more likely to be accurate. Okay, nothing else really matters. We've already determined a proximity when we set it up. Um, and then when we go and look through each of them, we'll really like narrow down proximity as well. So I'm not going to fuss over that. That leaves us with 46 properties. So just those few standards of reviews, active nights, stars brought us down almost half. So now I'm going to apply that filter. I'm going to do it based on revenue. So top revenue properties, I want the highest revenue to be on the top because that's what I'm comparing to. Okay, so now we're going to go look at each Airbnb listing. We're going to make sure that it's more than likely as accurate as possible on its information. The way to determine, like we've already gone through a lot of filters to determine if it's like it's accurate as possible. The last thing that I like to do is I like to go into the reviews, most recent, and I just want to see that it's had a review, at least one review per month for the last 12 months for the most part. It's a little bit flexible. If it's missing one or two, okay. But as we can see here, let me go back to the beginning. We have January, we have December, November, October, September, August, July, June, May, April, March. Okay, so we have at least one review for the last year. The reason I do that is because if they're missing a significant amount of like months without reviews, if you're having the average like I mean, even 4 to 6 days a month, you're going to get at least a review. So if you don't get a review, majority of the time, what I have seen is that they are having a midterm stay, whether it's on Airbnb or off. And these platforms, Price Labs, Airbnb, do not know how to compute that information because all they're seeing is, okay, this person booked this property, it's blocked the entire month, so they must have got it for $17,000. Like, that's what they're estimating. They don't know that there might have been a massive discount. There might have been negotiation on the back end because a lot of the time that's what happens for longer stays. So this property is a good comp. Sorry, I have these camera up. Okay. So then we go back. We're going to use that as a comp. And my goal is to find a minimum of, I would like to find 5 up to 10. So we're just going to keep going through. This property to me already looks suspicious. The fact that it says it's making one of the top, like a higher end of the revenue. Wait, it's not right anymore. Oh, I had it totally backwards. Okay. Now we're looking at the right revenue. So I have to unmark the other one. Oh, clear. Okay. Let's start over. I'm going to get rid of these. Now we're going to
What are these? Not many people here.
do that. Okay, so now let's go. Now we're really starting from the top. Okay, this property claims to be making 236 to 274,000. We're going to compare this in AirDNA, they're significantly, like their nightly rate is significantly higher than most. I'd be surprised if they're making that much more. So let's go and look at their reviews. Typically, when I see people like they're like major outliers, I wouldn't use them as a comp because something is off. Like it doesn't make sense that one individual person is making significantly more than everybody else. So if we look at reviews, we definitely have July, December, November, just going through quick, October, September, August, July, June, May, April, March. Okay. We have a majority of them. So in theory, this one should be accurate according to what, the filters that I use to determine how accurate the data is. Well, I'm going to keep this up here so we can look on AirDNA for it, but I'm not going to use it as a comp because it is such an outlier. I don't even think that would make sense. So let's look at the next ones. You can tell that the next many of them are much similar, much closer in pricing to each other, not $100,000 difference. Okay, so this property, okay, it has majority of the reviews. It does have some things that our property doesn't, right? It has a hot tub. I probably should show what your property looks like. Okay, here's the property that we're actually finding comps for. I'm gonna keep that up aside. So this property does not have a hot tub. So depending on the comps that we find, if we cannot find enough comps that are comparable, then we are going to, when I see a hot tub and I'm like, okay, this property with a hot tub is making, man, they have a wide range. Right? AirDNA does not give you a range either. I don't really love that they're doing that. So let's say it's making 136,000. If I see it has a hot tub and I don't have a hot tub, I'm going to eliminate about 10,000 because that's on average what hot tubs bring in additional per year. So right now we don't have a hot tub. So we're going to just keep that in the back of the mind that it's there. Take that into consideration. Next one. Oh, sorry. One more thing you should look at is where it's at. Make sure, I mean, you should because you're setting up your proximity, so it should be fine. I didn't set this one up, so let's just see how close it is. So subject property here is between, oh, it looks like it's pretty close. So right above the lakes, next to the left of Berkeley, right above the lake, next to this Tennyson Park. So subject property is over here. Comp is over here. That's not bad, especially in this Colorado area, because if you consider like downtown, most people are going downtown for the Denver area. And so if you consider like distance to downtown, either way, it's about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. And so that's about the same. It's not crossing like really too many, any major highways or anything like that. So people are just as willing to drive over here as they are over here. Now, if there was like I don't know what happened to the Apex Center, but if they were like, if the football field or something like that was like right next to this property and not next to us, I'd be like, I do take that into consideration because clearly a lot of people are coming over to this stadium if that's what were happening. Okay, so this is a good comp. With the hot tub, next we have this spacious home. Let's look at proximity. Our subject property is going to be right here next to the park, lake to the left of Berkeley. Perfect. Great proximity. Making sure that it has at least one review per month. A little flexibility on that. I'm really, because I'm going through so fast, I'm just making sure it doesn't go from like June to January. Like when you start looking at it a lot, you recognize those different patterns. Okay, so this property also has a hot tub, taking that into consideration. I don't mind having a wide range of comps, like ones that might be considered more luxury than mine and ones that might be a little bit lower. Because then when I add all this information into the dashboard, it just gives me a better idea of like what is the high end, the 90th percentile versus what is the low. And I can compute myself like where do I sit in that range. Okay, so the ultimate hangout house, where is it at? Okay, so our property's over here. This one's a little bit farther south, but now we have some averages. We have one up here and one over here. We're kind of trying to average our comps out. Still very close by within 5 to 10 minutes away from our property. It's not in walking distance of downtown or any other major event centers. So I don't mind this at all. I would keep that. Let's look at reviews. Remember, I always go to most recent reviews. November, September, August, July, June, May, March, February, January. Okay, so that one looks good. Hangout house. This one has a pool. That's like a whole different story. That's its own. We're not looking at properties with pools. Like I'll remove revenue based on a hot tub because that's just an amenity. A pool, that's a whole completely different, like it's almost like a different market of Airbnbs. So we're not looking at the pool. Denver luxury. This one has a hot tub too. Okay, this one's getting pretty far away. Our subject property is up here. This one's getting pretty close to downtown. It's definitely on the border. I don't really want to be past this line right here. We're even considered in like a different city at this point. So I don't love that one. This one has a private pool. Let's scroll. Okay, so let's look at this one. So Berkeley, up here, the subject property. This one is still pushing the line a bit on being too far south. Right, because it's just more beneficial if they're closer. It's not more beneficial, but if they're a decent property and they're close to downtown, they just have a little bit of an advantage. So I'm probably not going to consider that one. That one is the electric mid. Let's look at this one. Okay. This looks nice, clean. Okay, so this one's a little bit north of us. We're right here. So this is great so far. And we're getting a variety of styles here. So December, November, September, June, April, March. January, February, March. Okay. Looks good on reviews as well. Also has a hot tub. Taking that into consideration. So also if your property is doing good, Steve, like based on what I'm seeing, the next thing I would invest in if you ever want to upgrade is definitely a hot tub.
We'll see how the next one does, because that's got a hot tub and it's not only very close to this one too, so.
Perfect. Okay, this one has a private pool. So far we have 4 all with hot tubs. Definitely like to find some without. So let's keep looking. Also, when you're doing this, which I should do, we're actually, I'm going to log in real quick to your account if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Save these comps.
I can use them comps for both places almost.
Yeah, just keep in mind these are 5 bedroom comps. So they're definitely going to have a revenue difference than a 4 bedroom.
Even though you sleep the same?
Yep.
Okay.
I noticed more of a difference with bedroom size versus sleep size. Okay, it just sent you a code.
390235.
Perfect. Okay, so now we're logged in. So we're creating a comp list on Price Labs right now. So that's one. There's 3 different types you can do. Price Labs, you can also save all of these comps that you're creating. You also want to create in here. Maybe a little bit more. What are we going to say? 5 bed comps, 2026. And this will just show you a difference. I love having a comp list on Airbnb because this to me is like your absolute source of truth. Like you know that the numbers on here, like they're not going to get any more accurate than what's on here. So I like to have that as well, and I'll show you in a little bit of what that's going to look like when you compare prices. Um, I do like to save, okay, the property that you're comparing to, I like to save it to the list as well. That way when you're looking at all of them, you can see what your price is right next to it. Just makes it a little bit easier. Anyways, like I just did, save it. This one was a really expensive one. I think we liked this one. Good. So we created a wish list. We're adding it to that. This one. And then once you go into the wish list here, so you have to be on the travel side. Let me start over. You have to be on the travel side in order to see your wish list because technically it's what the, travelers use. Go to your wish list, go to 5 bedroom or whatever your wish list is called. And now you can see exactly where they are on the map. And you can go and pick the dates you want to look at, see who is available. So there's only one property available for the weekend or the weekdays of the 9th through the 11th in March. And that could be because these properties either have a 3 night minimum or because they could be booked. Don't know. Doesn't tell you that information, but you'll start to notice if they're consistently not. Well, you can go into it actually and see. So they are available. They have a 3 night minimum. That's why they're not showing. Okay. So another thing you can do here that I like to do, even though it says it has hot tub, I like to add notes like what makes this property, like what do I think, why do I think this property is making so much money? Like why are they doing so well, right? They have a home movie theater. They have a hot tub. They have, I take into consideration their guest favorite, superhost, and top 5%. So I like to write that kind of stuff too. Superhost, top 5%, best favorite. I just start to notice patterns when I do that for each of my comps. Okay, so we're going to build out these comp sets in each, oh my gosh, in both Price Labs and Airbnb at the same time. Yeah, we like this one too. Oh my gosh, I'm going to learn one of these days. Got to refresh the page. Okay, still need to look at this one. distance. They were over here in Berkeley. This is definitely same proximity as some of our other comps. Not bad at all. Um, Reviews. September, August, July, June, May. They're getting a lot of, so, oh wait, I noticed this is 2024, so what did I miss here? June, July, June, May. It goes from May of 2025 to August. That's quite a few months missing. It is consistent though for almost the last 9 months. So then I can just start digging in more. I can go and look at their occupancy. Does it make sense? I can kind of look at some of their rates. Like, do these numbers add up to be around what Price Labs is predicting? And if they are, then I'm like, okay, they more than likely have enough data based on the last 9 months to determine an accurate outcome. So this one not only has a hot tub and it has a sauna. So to be conservative, I'd probably take 10,000 away for both. Probably wouldn't use this as the comp because it's just a different experience. But also we have a outside theater. So maybe I'd put it in the list and then I would just be mindful of it when I'm looking at my comps. Okay, so that was the hot tub sauna fireplace. Goodness, I like hot tubs.
Everybody's got a hot tub.
Everyone's got a hot tub. Okay, this one isn't too bad. The property's up here. This one's not too far away. It's not quite crossing. This is the highway, this Highway 70 here. Is what I'm not wanting to cross. I love looking at bad reviews. Unfortunate. They have a lot of good ones, so man, they have multiple 1 star. It's kind of hard to get a 1 star review. Like people on their mean days kind of normally like a 3 star, not a 1 star. That means they're really mad.
They got enough reviews to keep them up to a 4.8.
Yes. Yes. I definitely notice the longer I have my property, the less lenient I become because they affect me less once you're a little bit more established. In the beginning, we have to beg and crawl. Yeah.
This is a total side question, but if you notice that a lot of properties in your market have a hot tub, is it better to get a hot tub to be in competition with them, or I'm just wondering if I should get a sauna and just differentiate somehow?
Um, Database to hot tub. I'm definitely databased, so I would do hot tub because data's telling me it works. There is not enough saunas out there for me to confidently say that they make a big difference. And I think hot tubs are just maybe a little bit more convenient for people to just go jump in.
Yeah,
I would say hot tub. And if you really want to go over the top, do a sauna, but that's when you're really making the cash flow.
gotcha.
Okay, this one we looked was good. Okay.
So when they got the revenue on there, is that an estimate what they think it'll be? That's not necessarily their revenue.
Price Labs.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an estimate. It's potential revenue of what they are seeing based on what they're seeing on the public listing. How, because they like AirDNA and Price Labs have like crawlers on the main listings, and then they are basically checking every like 30 seconds to see what the prices are, what the minimum nights are. And if they come back in 30 seconds and those days are booked, then they're assuming that the price they saw previously is the price they got booked at. So between that and then Price Labs, because it does connect to your pricing, so if they use Price Labs, it might have a little bit more accuracy to it, I think is what they're trying to get to. But we'll go and compare what these have in AirDNA too, because I do try to take into consideration both. Well, so you're missing April, May, July, so missing June. Okay. So it's just 1 month that it's missing. So 1 month, even if they got a longer stay, like it might be like take into consideration if they're doing it's a month in the high season in this area. So if their average month for a 5 bedroom property and a high season in June is $10,000, they're not going to give it away for 2,000. They might give it away for like, oh, give it a little bit of a discount. Maybe it's for 8. It's a couple $1,000 difference in what the annual revenue potential might be. So it's not like a major difference. When you start missing multiple months, 2, 3, 4 months, they're like, okay, now we're off like probably tens of thousands of dollars, not just a couple $1,000s. Okay, how many do we have so far? I don't know. We'll read to this one. This one was good. This one also has a hot tub. It's good. There's the map. Okay, also very close, so property here, very close by. That's good. Great property with a hot tub. So taking that into consideration. Okay, so let me see. We have 4 on this page, 4 on this page. Okay, let's find 2 more, and then we're going to go into AirDNA. We're going to create this comp set. I'm going to show you what to do with it. We might have to do a part 2 next week. Let's look at a couple more. I want to find some without a hot tub. Yeah, that has become a standard in this area.
I have to get one.
Maybe. Did I? Let's save this one. Okay, this one does not have a hot tub. Where was that called? Clean, comfy? Okay. So remember, this is down about, especially for a 5 bedroom, so a 5 bedroom cleaning fee is at least $200, probably more, 250 to
220.
yeah. So again, at $200, 8 cleans a month, I believe that's around 20,000 a year. So this property is making anywhere from 85 to $100,000. So still a very good property. So we're going to count this one, and then we're going to get one more. Try not to have one with a hot tub. Then I save this one, save it. This one has a hot tub. Oh, I lost where I'm at now. We're on this page. Yeah, we did. Spacious. Okay. That had a hot tub, that's why. Okay, so this one definitely under designed right next to it. So that's a great comp. Under designed doesn't, oh, it does have a hot tub, but it's so under designed. Like, you can compete with this one. So I'm gonna keep it anyways. Nope.
Yeah, it'll be good to compare against them because we've got a lot of bookings already, but we don't have a hot tub, so I wonder how far they're booked out already.
Yeah. October. Okay. We'll look at that too. This person's not even available. So even though they have reviews as of 3 weeks ago, their calendar is completely blocked off. So whether they're shutting down or I don't know what they're doing. So we definitely won't be using them. That was the convenient. This one. This one has some kind of little stock pool. Pretty plain. So they're trying. I want to take these properties. I want to be like, please let me manage these. We can enhance them. Like we in this call come in and enhance this property so much. Okay. Pretty close by. Oh my gosh, it doesn't even show their bedrooms. Stressful. Somebody needs to figure out how to get a hold of these people without Airbnb canceling your account. Be like, let me manage your property. Even be worth putting some money into. Okay. I would keep going. That one was the mid-century. Try to find a couple that don't have a hot tub. Let's see this one. Okay, we're gonna do this one. Yep, very close by. Great reviews. Doesn't have a hot tub. It's doing really well. Ah, 2023. How did I get so far? Weeks ago. August, July. Oh my gosh, all the way from July to November. It's missing like a whole 6 months. So how can it estimate last year's revenue just based on it's the kids one? 6 months. So it's missing a lot of the high revenue. I don't trust that. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think they would know. They have no idea. I just want to have a good variety in here. September, June, September, missing August, June, May, April, March, January, February. So it's only missing 2 months worth of reviews. That's not bad. So we're gonna add this in. Okay, it's gonna be our final comp there. That was clean, kid friendly. Okay, so now we have 10 comps. And you can always add to this. So this is your top 10, whatever, top 10 comps. So now you have to name it, and then we can generate a comp set with 11 listings. Okay, well, must have marked one of them. Probably that mid one. Okay, get rid of all these. Okay, so now we have a comp set. So now we can go over here to view comp listing, view comp sets. So here's our top 10 comp sets based on Airbnb. So now what we can use, and I don't recommend using this for everything, but technically you can come in here and change your comp set. So two options, you can come in here and change it to like, if I'm looking at length of stay or amenities or like a lot of these other options, I'm gonna do like 4 to 6 bedroom because I'm really just looking at larger homes. There's a difference between comparing larger homes and then being specific when you're coming to your nightly rate and revenue and numbers and looking specifically at 5 bedrooms. So you can either come in here and look at all 5 bedroom properties, or you can change your comp set to the one that we just picked. And that means everything in here is based off of those 10 comps.
Your pricing will be then too?
No, it's not gonna, this has nothing to do, it does not adjust your pricing. No,
Okay.
it's just data for you to reference. Okay, so all of this data is all based off of these. What's also nice if you look at these, let's go. So the ones we just, no, that's all. It's not even looking at your comp set anymore. Comp set, comp set. You notice too, what I've been really noticing in these last like 3 months, especially in any market that I look at, the top properties all have incredible reviews. So now more than ever, do we have to give the best guest experience possible. And in the beginning, that might be hard when, cash is low and stuff. But in the end, after some time, once you build up those reviews, you start being that top percentage of properties, the money will follow. Anyways, all this information just based off of those top 10 comps. Again, I don't use this for everything, but some things. Another place you can use this, if you go back into your pricing dashboard, your view properties for this, you can go over here to your neighborhood data. Now you can go over here, options. You can go to market dashboard. Oh, I turned it off, so that's why. Oh, so I didn't mean to do that. Apparently this has to be on. I did not mean to split screen this. Okay. Now let's refresh this. Neighborhood data. There we go. Now our property's up. It's loading the comp sets. So now we can go click the comp set that we just created. And now all of our information on the neighborhood data is also based off of this. So this has been really handy lately. I love coming into here. So now when it talks about the 90th percentile, 50th percentile, it's talking about it based off of those comps that we just found. What I really like when you go based off of comps is I like to see this monthly occupancy because this is all based off of those comps now. So when it says, that July is at 9%, the market occupancy that's based off of that comp set, so the comp set's only about 99%, and you're sitting at 65%. So it's like, for next year, take into consideration that prices could have probably been higher for July. So maybe for June and July, where you're well exceeding the market, you can go up and you can even put a higher premium on those months because people are booking them way ahead of time. Can also come down here. Anyways, all this information then is based off of that. You also have this down here. Manage competitors. Did not automatically add that comp set. Oh. It has the properties here that we just added in. So these are all the ones from the comp set that we added. All right. 10 plus a few on two there. In theory, supposed to be all the ones from the comp set that we selected on there. But you can go and compare. You can go back to your comp set, make sure that's the ones you're adding into here. And now you have an entire calendar of your competitors and their pricing. I do not put, I take this calendar with a grain of salt just because I haven't noticed the accuracy being really great. Because unless somebody has price labs, they really have no way to determine the nightly rate. Because now all of the systems are total pricing. So I just take it into consideration. If you really want to compare, you can be like, okay, what is this person, this clean and friendly, they're supposedly making $263 for these nights. They're available. So 2 nights, if you did Sunday through Tuesday, that'd be actually 2 nights. So 236 times 2 or plus 2. Let's see on the accuracy of this. So you have 263. Plus they say they have a $150 cleaning fee, and then they have a 1.55% service fee. So they've probably increased for that. So 79. So in theory, their total price should be around $783 if I'm calculating that right. So let's go and check. That was these days. So yeah, it wasn't too far off because this discount here is based on Airbnb, like they probably did a promotion or something. But the original pricing is pretty close to what I was estimating it at. So I would compare. That's why I say this is like source of truth at the end of the day. So it's just a way to compare. Then you have that list of comps you can use in the market dashboard. You have this calendar. You now have a comp list in Airbnb. So that's multiple ways to compare prices. And then also there's AirDNA. So not have a lot of time, but let's just look up some of these comps in AirDNA. I just want to see how they compare revenue-wise. Where? Oh, there it is. Okay, next time I'll show you how to do this. I guess I don't think most people have AirDNA, so I don't know how much it matters, but we can look next time at AirDNA. This was Arvada. We're looking at 5 bedrooms. Good. Remove that. I have the same 180 days or more, 20 or more reviews. Entire place, 5 bedroom. Okay, so now we can go to top rental properties. Okay, here's one of the ones we're looking at. But you guys can see the right screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go back to that comp list. The one that we created under comp sets. Okay, so wait. Let's go based on revenue. Make it easier to find. Okay, this property they're saying it makes between 136 to 167, not including cleaning fees. So we're expecting AirDNA to be somewhere between 155,000-ish, 160 to 180-ish. And this is the one we're looking for. Or we should just go based on the ones we can see right here. Okay. So we have this Mile High hideout and we have this one right here. So let's actually just go find that. That would be much quicker. Let's say the Mile High. Let's say that one. Okay. So this one right here, the Haven, 72 to 85. And they're saying this one makes 106. So that's very on track for being about $20,000 higher on here because this does include cleaning fees. I haven't seen them do the range before. Let's see if it'll let me do just, doesn't let me do just comps. So I'm not really sure how they're determining this. The reason I'm not a big fan of like, I'm a really big fan of AirDNA, and I don't use the other sites because they don't tell you how they calculate the metrics. AirDNA has somewhere in their help center, something like that, they tell you exactly how they calculate everything. And so that makes sense to me. And these other sites don't do that. Anyways, so it's about 20, it's exactly $20,000 higher. So that makes sense on the cleaning fees than its highest prediction. I'm not really sure how it determines the range. Um, let's look at the other one. Apparently, I didn't do hot sauna fire. Hot sauna fire. Okay, 74.90. Okay, about $25,000 more, right? Ish. So that makes sense. The cleaning fees are higher in that 250 to 300 range. So in reality, you're probably spending 25 to $30,000 a year in cleaning fees for a 5-bedroom property. So they're pretty close in revenue. Makes sense. They're just missing the cleaning fee. Anyways, you can also go on AirDNA if you do pay for it. You can add these comps here as well. You can build out comp sets. Um, so like I have this one where I've built out a comp set. Let me go. I'm going to look at performance. I do this for each of my properties. It just kind of gives me the averages of what the properties that I'm comparing to are doing. And so then I can kind of have a decent expectation of what they're going to do on a monthly basis. Now, in AirDNA, if you were to just go into the market and look at revenue for 5 bedrooms on a monthly basis, obviously this is based on properties from the 25th percentile to the 90th percentile. It's a wide range. So I like when I'm doing underwriting and even comparing properties while I'm still working on them, I go into my comp sets. Oh my gosh, performance. And it just gives me an idea of the numbers that I'm more likely to hit. And then if I want to make higher revenue, okay, high revenue property, even though this property is making less average daily rate, they have a much higher occupancy. And in the end, that's making them a higher revenue overall. In this specific market, this is not the one we've been looking at. It's just an example of a comp set in AirDNA. So it just helps me find the patterns and the properties. What's more important, occupancy or nightly rate? And that is strongly depending on the market. Um, because, and I say that it's based strongly depending on the market because of the algorithm. If the algorithm sees that this market is on average, 80, 90% occupancy and you're at 40, then they think you're underperforming. So they're kind of pushing you back. You're not keeping up, you're not as valuable. So you need to lower your rate for a higher occupancy. Then Airbnb will boost your property more, get on the front pages and stuff, and then you'll start making more money. There are some markets, such as like College Station or Gainesville, where occupancy is very low, like it's expected to be very low. It might be 30 or 50, 40 to 50%, but your average daily rate is going to be like $600 or a much higher average daily rate. And if you did the same thing, you would notice that the top properties have a lower occupancy and higher rate. So it's very market dependent on that. But
So what is potential revenue? Is that after your expenses? Or is potential revenue just the total amount coming in?
total gross revenue, it's just money coming in, no consideration to expenses or anything. So it's your nightly rate plus any fees that you charge, cleaning fees or anything like that. Yep. Okay, cool. Well, Steve, you have that now in your market dashboard. You have that comp set in your market dashboard as well in your neighborhood data. I'd play around. You can always go to your comp set, like I said, and edit it if you want to add more, if you want to remove some, do whatever you need to, but we're trying to build that benchmark of where we want to be. And so then just be mindful of where your property is compared to the ones that we added in. These properties
Hmm.
are very well established. They have really good reviews. Some of them more luxurious, some of them less. So where do you sit within that range? And just take those things into consideration when looking at rates. And then also you have it in your Airbnb. So now you can come and look at future dates and see exactly what their total price is. All properties are still available here. And your property, so if you're sitting at 1921, we have 14, 18, 18, 16. So you're the second highest property out of these. And these ones, I mean, there's a range between pretty basic property and pretty luxurious property. Some have a hot tub. So I'd probably look at that and be like, okay, depending on how aggressive I am, do I want to lower my price a little bit to be more like what's coming to mind here is like 17, like
Hmm.
1700 is kind of where I would want to be. So, okay, cool. I hope that was helpful, guys. I'm not sure how helpful AirDNA would be. Next week I'll do another Q&A. So if you guys end up wanting to look at AirDNA more, or if you want to work on another comp set for somebody else, like come to next week's call and we can do that. This is my bread and butter and favorite thing to do, so I'm open to doing it.
We'll be back. Thank you so much.
Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky.